Appreciate everybody being here. But let's get into this. All right. So, as I said, stay with me to the end because, as most of you know, we heavily cover the World Economic Forum here, and it is an annual. World Economic Forum is a year-round organization founded by Klaus Schwab, but each year in January they have their annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland. Well, that happened last week at the time of this live recording. So we're going to show you, I guess you'd call them highlights. I certainly call them lowlights because it's just further evidence of the demonic control that the enemy has on this organization, and the power of this organization is mind-boggling. The things that they have discussed, put into place, and the narrative that they have created. We're going to cover that towards the end of the broadcast and extensively. It's going to be the main part of our show tonight. But I do have some things that I do need to show you that are news items that you will not hear on the mainstream media, but you need to know for the sake of your family. And so the first one I want to show you is I'm going to let you read a lot of this. Some of this stuff I'm not going to say, and this will be the only one that I cover that's like this. But this is something that you need to know about. Of course, Meta is the new corporate name of Facebook and Instagram. They're both owned by Zuckerberg. But their advisory board has decided to free as you can see on the screen, Facebook and Instagram are told to overhaul their ban on bare breasts. Now, I want you to listen to this. This is the world we live in. This is the insanity of the world we live in. Meta's advisory board says policy impedes the right to expression for women, wait a minute, and trans and non-binary people. Now, the interesting thing that you need to notice is this. Facebook and Instagram could soon free the blank more than a decade after breastfeeding mothers first held a nurse in at Facebook headquarters to protest against its ban on breasts. I guess I can say these words. Meta's oversight board has called for an overhaul to the company's rules banning bare-chested images of women, but not men. But here's the interesting thing. It goes on to say, if I can scroll down here and find this, it says, the oversight board's ruling follows Facebook's censorship of 2 posts from an account run by an American couple who are transgender and non-binary. The post shows the couple posing topless, but with their beep covered, with captions describing trans healthcare and raising money for top surgery. The posts were flagged by users, then reviewed and removed by the AI system. And of course, nowadays, that's a no-no if you do anything that's against that community. So the board found that, quote, the policy is based on a binary view of gender and a distinction between male and female bodies. Well, last time I knew, there was a distinction between male and female bodies, and there was binary. But, I digress, and the world says I'm wrong, but God's word said I'm right, which makes rules against blank bearing unclear when it comes to this. So here's the bottom line, okay? I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Here's the bottom line. The policy is this. They are now removing the ban on bare-chested women, but only, listen, this is absolute fact, but only for transgenders and non-binary who happen to have women's chests. So in other words, if you're a woman, let me make a prediction here. If you're a woman and you are in the how I say this, the intimacy trade, or if you are making movies about things that starts with the letter P and ends with the letter N, and you want to get people to your website, then I bet you there's a bunch of them are all of a sudden going to become non-binary. And they're going to come out as non-binary trans because that way they can skirt the policy and go straight to showing themselves, which is, of course, going to mean that Instagram and Facebook is going to turn into PORN. Are y'all hearing me? So guard against this with your children. I just want to let you know that. It's very, very important that you know that. Speaking of this agenda, let's go on because this is mind-boggling what is going on here. if you didn't already know this, this happened a couple of weeks ago. This was in the Mall of America, the largest mall in America. This man came in, and if you'll see this, I'm going to play because I want you to hear what this guard says, this mall cop in all of his big, bad self, okay? He only walked in here with a yellow shirt on that says Jesus Saves on the front. And on the back of it, he had that coexist bumper sticker that you see. It's got all the different religious emblems on it crossed out and said Jesus is the only way. Let's see what happened in America. This is not China. This is America. Here we go.
I understand that, right, but Jesus is associated with religion and it's offending people. No, it's not.
You probably didn't hear that because it's very loud in the mall. He said, I understand what you're saying, but Jesus is associated with a religion that condemns people. That's what the mall cop just said.
Actually, it's not the religion. It's about eternal life. Okay, but it's the same thing, okay? People have been offended.
He said, I didn't say anything. I haven't preached. I'm just wearing a shirt. The mall cop said, but it's the same thing. Your shirt is preaching. And he says, people in the mall have said that you have offended them. So therefore, take the shirt off.
And like I said, all we were asking you is to take your shirt off. You can go to Macy's or we can leave. I didn't say anything though. I didn't speak. I didn't speak. I didn't say anything. Just went to Macy's.
America. Look, they're going to show, this guy's going to show the back of the shirt. Look, the back of the shirt. Jesus is the only way. That is what is offensive, y'all. Jesus Saves is offensive enough, but the back of the shirt is what got him. Jesus is the only way. Well, can I tell you something? I don't know about you, but I've read the Bible, and the Bible says in the Bible that I read, because I'm a Christian, says that Jesus is the only way. Jesus himself said that. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man gets to the Father except by me. But yet we have a mall in America that is kicking people out for wearing a shirt. Well, let's go on and see what else is happening in our great nation of America. This is a National Hockey League, which I'm not a hockey fan. We don't do hockey down here in Alabama. But they had a pride game, and they had all the players to wear their pride jersey, and this guy's a Christian, and he goes, look, I respect everybody's opinion. I respect I'm not condemning anyone, but I don't want to wear the jersey. And you would have thought that he had just, committed the unpardonable sin. Listen what happened. This is the reporters afterwards. If you'll notice, the first words out of his mouth is I respect everyone's choices. Watch this.
I respect everybody's choices. My choice is to stay true to myself and my religion. That's all I'm going to say.
I respect that. Much respect, brother.
Like I said, that's all I'm going to comment on that.
See, he's being classy. He said, all I'm going to do is just say, I respect everybody's choices. I'm asking you to respect my choices, my religious conviction.
If you have any hockey questions, I would answer those.
He's a hockey player. Give me a hockey question.
Can you just clarify your religion?
Russian Orthodox.
Russian Orthodox. Now that was one thing. But then this is the reaction of the media. Now, I'm not going to show you this guy right. This guy right here is sickening. He's one of the National Hockey League broadcasters. But I want you to hear what he says when he gets to the religion part. And you tell me, if this was said about any other religion except Christianity, what do you think would happen to this dude? But listen how he feels so empowered to say this about this hockey player. And all he did not commit a crime. He didn't burn some building down. He didn't throw a rock at anybody. He just said, I want to wear my regular hockey jersey. I don't want to wear a rainbow hockey jersey. But listen to this sportscaster.
Nothing scares me more than any human being who says, I'm not doing this because of my religious beliefs. Because when you looked in people's lives, you normally say that publicly, you'd throw up at what you saw. You would throw up at what you saw. And I have seen that a million times in a lot of different ways. So don't give me that. With respect. Don't give me that, because no one's perfect. All right? Don't feed me the religious beliefs line. And all of a sudden the NHL is going to back off this. The National Hockey League today.
I want you to listen to what he says. That the National Hockey League should do because a man decided he didn't want to wear a rainbow jersey.
needs to fine that organization $1 million and reevaluate how they support gay rights. Because that is insulting. That is the #1 trending topic in Canada. That is insulting what happened in Philadelphia.
It's insulting in what happened in Philadelphia. Wow, wow, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the world we live in. This is the world we live in, okay? Okay, I wish I was through, but I got one more thing. This is Miss Universe. You know, ladies, all my ladies out there, you fought so hard for people to respect you. You've got sports that you've got all kinds of things that recognize your greatness and your achievements. And one of the things that's been a staple, and you can agree with it or not, is beauty pageants. Well, for most of all of our lives, beauty pageants have had women in them. Well, Miss Universe is considered to be the ultimate of all beauty pageants. Well, Miss Universe has changed a little bit. Let's see what's going on with Miss Universe now.
The Miss Universe organization from now on is going to be ran by women.
Ran by women. Now, if you didn't know this and you couldn't recognize it by the voice, this used to be, in my opinion, still is, but according to the culture we live in, says no longer is, but was born a man. And this trans woman now owns Miss Universe. And listen to what the new owner says about the power of women.
Owned by a trans woman. For all women.
Now owned by a trans woman and now is being led by all women and was heralded in many news organizations as the first woman to ever own Miss Universe. The news just keeps going on and on. Stay with me because it gets better with each one. As I said earlier, maybe exciting news to tell you. The Pope has now urged Buddhists to convert, but not to convert to Christianity, to convert to ecological conversion. Let's read this. It says, Pope Francis used a delegation of Cambodian Buddhists to conversion this week, not to Christianity, but to environmental responsibility. Ecological conversion happens when the human roots of the present environmental crisis are named, the Pope contended, that when true repentance leads to the slowing and halting of trends, ideologies, and practices that are hurtful and disrespectful to the earth. This conversion also takes place when, quote, people commit to promoting models of developments that heal wounds inflicted by greed, excessive search for financial profits, lack of solidarity with neighbors, disrespectful for the environment, he said. Ecological conversion calls us to change gears, change bad habits in order to be able to dream, co-create, and together to realize our just and equitable futures. Goes on to say, for their part, Christians fulfill their ecological responsibility when as trustworthy stewards, they protect creation, the work God entrusts. Listen, I'm all about protecting the creation of which we live in, ladies and gentlemen, but when you have an opportunity to talk about conversion, I'm not going to convert you to ecological conversion. Jesus came that we would convert people to Christianity. And that's what's happening. More and more people are compromising their faith. One more story, and then we'll get into some serious coverage of the World Economic Forum. Well, two more. This one's a very important one that I'm going to have to walk a thin line here on the things that I say because I don't want to get kicked off. But apparently, the Canadian officials are now telling us that after flu season comes something that supposedly doctors had always known, stroke season. Canadian officials have warned the public this week that the sudden rise in strokes among the population is, of course, we know they're telling us why this is happening. A lot of people's wondering, why is all these people suddenly dying? Why are we hearing more and more people just falling over, people that are in great health that are having strokes? Well, here's why, according to Canada. Due to the influenza season, causing systematic inflammation. So the reason this is happening is because of the flu. Dr. Raj Bajar, of the University of Calgary, appeared on Canadian state media to explain the alleged link between flu infection and stroke. And he goes on, he says a bunch of things here, but I'm just going to play this little clip here and just let you guys hear directly from him.
So what is this link between influenza, infection, and stroke?
Yeah, I didn't know about this either until last year, but...
So he didn't know about this until last year. Well, what started happening last year? And here is a well-known doctor on a national Canadian broadcasting, CBC Calgary News is what it's called. Apparently, this is out there, but this doctor just didn't know about it until last year. Wonder what's going on. Oh, it must be flu.
It turns out that after flu season, about 3 or 4 weeks later, there is a stroke season. And like you said, most of Canada is getting down off of a big hump of flu. So now we're starting to see more strokes. And a friend of one of my colleagues actually mentioned that at work the other day.
Really?
Said, have you noticed how many strokes we're seeing? It's a lot more than usual, it feels like. So anecdotally, we're starting to see that.
I wonder what's happening. I wonder, have you noticed? Have you noticed how many people are having strokes? Have you noticed how many people are dying suddenly? I have noticed that. More than usual? Yes, much more than usual. Well, what is it? Well, you didn't know. It's stroke season. It's stroke season. That's how the public is when you say that. It's stroke season? Crickets. Stroke season. Have you ever heard of stroke season? Stroke season. It ain't a thing. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, Diamond and Silk, very well known, very, whether you like Trump or not, that you know them because they were very big proponents of Donald Trump. During Saturday's memorial for her sister, Lynette Diamond Hardaway, Silk suggested, blah, blah, blah. I'll let you read that. Silk suggested, blah, 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 may have been a factor. Silk described to the crowd of supporters, which included the president himself, how the 51-year-old Diamond had died suddenly in the kitchen as a result of a blood clot in her lung. She says something is going on. And I'm going to try to read this very carefully. Don't dare call me a conspiracy theorist. I want America to wake up and pay attention. It's time to investigate what's really going on here and get to answers why people are falling dead suddenly. I'm not going to play all of this, but this is a part of it. She says they say this is horrible to watch. Let's just play it and hope that I don't get kicked off, because I want you to hear from her voice.
As soon as Diamond hung up the phone, she said to me, "I can't breathe." It was suddenly, out of nowhere and no warning. I got her to the kitchen table, opened up the back door so that she can get some air. And each breath was less and less
That's so sad.
and less until her eyes became a stare. My husband and I followed 3, 4. The yard and the EMS came into the house because I saw it happen. I saw how it happened. I was there when it happened, and it happened suddenly.
Wow. I was there when it happened. I saw it happen, and it happened suddenly. It's happening suddenly a lot, y'all. And it's time. It doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter what your opinion is. It doesn't matter what you did, what you didn't do. There's nobody better than anybody else. That's not what this is about. It's about something is going on, ladies and gentlemen. Something is going on that's not stroke season. Do you understand? They're trying their best. They're saying it's the climate. The climate is changing, therefore it's causing people to have heart attacks. That's literally, legitimately being said. Everything except one particular thing. Last item, then we go into, this is basically World Economic Forum stuff, because this was also discussed at World Economic Forum, but I want to show you this clip. I'm not on TikTok, but somebody sent me this clip, and it's on the web version of it, so I don't have to log into TikTok. But I want to show you this. This is what's happening in the United Kingdom, and this is what is known as 15-minute cities. I want you to listen to this lady.
You will only have 15 minutes of freedom here in the UK. So let me tell you the plan. The plan is in Oxford, and this has just been passed by the council, to divide the city.
This is not coming. This has been passed in Oxford, United Kingdom.
Here into the squiggly city, into 6 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Now listen to this.
And you will only have the freedom to operate in the part that you live. So if this is
wow.
you, the idea is that everybody will live within 15 minutes of the things they need.
Everybody will live within 15 minutes of the things they need. Listen to the rest of this.
15 minutes of a school, 15 minutes of a doctor's, 15 minutes of a supermarket. And if you want to travel to the other zones in your city, or maybe soon your town, you will have to go out an approved route. You will have to journey around the outside of the city.
Are you hearing this?
In order to re-enter another section of the city. This
Unbelievable.
plan is supposed to be saving the planet.
Yep.
And the idea is that you won't simply be able to cross over into other sections of your city anymore.
Okay, so look, I got a lot more to cover. So I want to get through this right here so I can get to the World Economic Forum. But do you understand, in Oxford, England, it has been approved. She goes on to say this has been approved by the city of Oxford, will go into effect in 2024. At the time of this recording, that's next year, ladies and gentlemen. This is all part of Agenda 2030. This is the test markets. There are certain cities around America that have already been approved to do this. And it sounds like something out of a movie, but this is not a movie. This is really Oxford, England. Oxfordshire is what it's called. They're sectioned off their city into 6 different sections. There will be boundaries like a pie, just like a pie shape. If you had a pie shaped into 6 different pieces of pie, there will be boundaries. And you will be living inside that section of the pie. Your grocery store, your pharmacy, your school, your medical attention will be inside that piece of the pie. You can't go over to the other section. You have to have approval certain times of the year, only a few times of the year, will you get permission to come out of your section of the pie, drive around, and then you can go in and see maybe family that lives in another section of the pie. Almost like the Berlin Wall. I mean, you're going to be living right next to people in the same city that you have lived in your whole life, but you cannot go over and talk to them. 15-minute cities are being birthed all over this world. Now, let's get to the World Economic Forum, and I've got a lot to cover because, as you know, as I said earlier, the World Economic Forum just finished up in Davos, Switzerland. Now, let's get into what is happening here. The World Economic Forum, one of the first things that was noticed by reporters, especially those that were independent media, when they got to Davos, was this was the first global event, major event, where they tested the digital ID system. This is what's going to be used in what is known as social scores and so forth. Look at this. The World Economic Forum on day 3 in Davos, Switzerland. This is where they're reporting. One of the details that has been seen helps provide a possible preview of coming attractions for people everywhere. Look what this reporter reports, and he shows you an example of it. Everyone at the World Economic Forum annual meeting, including journalists and all participants, has to take a PCR test upon arrival. If they don't take a test, the chip inside their ID badge will become remotely deactivated. And even if it's active and it's tied to your test, the DNA of your test, if you test positive for the badge will also be deactivated. Of course, he's so excited that he got his test and he made it in. If you don't take a test, the chip in your ID is completely deactivated. So when I watched a reporter asking the main doctor that is over the entire group in Davos that is over this, and they asked this doctor, what if Klaus Schwab tests positive? What would happen to him and some of the elites, John Kerry's and the others? And this is what she said. We would deactivate his badge as well. No one is exempt from being deactivated. All of this is the test. I've told you about the World Economic Forum. It is where they test the narrative, and it is where they test what they are about to bring globally to you and I. Let's go to the next thing. You may recognize this guy. His name is Tony Blair. He is the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. We have several people that are on here that watch us live and on the replay that are from the United Kingdom. So you know him. Now remember, listen to me, remember what you just saw. The test market was here. Everybody had a badge to get into the World Economic Forum. If they did not pass the test, they were deactivated. Now, as they are doing a roundtable discussion, the roundtable discussion is called, you may be able to see it on the screen, 100 Days to Outrace the Next Pandemic. 100 days to outrace the next pandemic. And you see, Davos 2023. So this is one of the panel discussions. Tony Blair was one of about 5 people sitting up there. When it came to his time and they were talking to me, he was sitting right next to, by the way, and I'm not going to show it on this for time purposes, but right to his left was the CEO of Pfizer. Did you hear that? The maker of the Pfizer vaccine. Sitting right next to him was the CEO of Pfizer. So when you see him looking to the left, talking to the left, he's talking to the CEO of Pfizer. Now, I want you to listen to what Tony Blair says we must make happen. He's telling the people that's in that room that's got the power to make it happen. This is something that has to happen now.
And I also think this issue to do with the technology and the digital infrastructure, I just want to emphasize how important I think that is. Because in the end, you need the data. You need to know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't been.
Listen.
Some of the vaccines that will come on down the line will be multiple. There'll be multiple shots.
They're not even keeping it quiet anymore. They're saying the quiet thing out loud. Some of the vaccines that are coming down the line is going to be multiple, and we need to be able to know who has got it and who doesn't.
So you've got to have, for reasons to do with the healthcare more generally, but certainly for a pandemic or for vaccines, you've got to have a proper digital infrastructure, and many countries don't have that. In fact, most countries don't have that. So again, you've got to say, okay, who are the people that can make this happen? How do you get the right partnerships in place? So my view is, this is what I'm arguing with the.
So that's enough of that. So I don't know if you noticed it. Most of the time when he was like, many countries do not have that. He's looking to his left. He's looking to his left. He's looking at the one I believe that's, giving him a little, something. The CEO of Pfizer. Well, it goes on. It continues. Now we see this. Notice behind World Economic Forum. These are all clips of what just happened. This is the narrative. Remember, Tony Blair just said, remember, we got to find the people that can get this done. He knows the people he's talking to is the ones going to get it done. This is another forum about, of course, climate. Climate is the main thing. And this guy right here, Davos speaker, calls for 1 billion people to stop eating meat for innovation and for the environment. A speaker at the World Economic Forum called for 1 billion people to just stop eating meat to combat climate change. If 1 billion people stopped eating meat, I tell you, it would have a great impact. Well, let's just hear this dude and see what he's got to say.
For all 8 billion people in this world. So it's a very important point that you are addressing.
Yeah, very important.
My daughter, 24, inspired me and said, Dad, how can you
do this, Dad? How can
advocate
you say this?
for
But
these zero carbon value chains if you still eat
eating
meat?
a steak? Still eating a steak.
And so I stopped eating meat.
So he's just, dude, I can't stop eating steak. I'm sorry. I love my daughters. I got 2 beautiful daughters. If they come up to me and said, Dad, how can you keep eating that steak? I would say, well, watch me eat the steak. That's how I eat it.
Now the math would say, well, you need to stop eating meat 11 years to compensate for a flight to Thailand.
Did you hear what he said? It will take 11 years of not eating meat to compensate for one flight to, where did he say? Indonesia, Thailand. 11 years of not eating meat to compensate for the carbon emissions of one flight?
Yes.
Yes.
But if 1 billion people stop eating meat,
yeah,
I tell you, it has a big impact.
But if 1 billion people would join me, can we just give peace a chance? Can we just give bugs a chance? Can we just all start eating bugs? Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's what they mean. Don't eat meat, get your protein from bugs. Can we all just give bugs a chance? Give bugs a chance. No. I'm not eating bugs. I'm inspired by John the Baptist that he ate locusts and wild honey. But I'm not eating it. Oh, but who is this guy? The elites go on and on. They go on and on. Oh, and by the way, let me just pop back over here to full screen because I want to tell you something. Right after you can't even make this stuff up. Right after this guy said, I need 1 billion people to join me to not eat meat. Because if 1 billion people didn't eat meat, it would offset the carbon emissions that it would take for me to fly to Thailand. Right after that, they had lunch and somebody snuck a picture out of it. Guess what they were serving to everybody at Davos? Meat. I'm not making this up. Oh, but these are the special ones. Listen to the opening remarks of John Kerry, the former, Secretary of State? I don't know what he was. Former presidential candidate. Let me tell you what he is. He's full of himself is what he is. And his only claim to fame is that he, I don't want to say anything about his wartime. I honor his service, but he married the heir to the Heinz ketchup, okay? He got his fortune from Heinz ketchup. But listen what he says about himself. And really what he's doing is he's speaking for everybody there, for the elites. This is how they feel about themselves.
And we met up last night. We're sitting there talking, so how do we change the way people are thinking about this and talking about it?
How do we do this?
Why is it that allegedly wise adult human beings, CEOs, some of them, United States senators, some of them, a whole bunch of folks.
Did you catch that he just called anybody that doesn't believe like him stupid? Because he said, how is it that allegedly wise people, and he's talking about that don't believe in his agenda. If they don't believe in his agenda, they are allegedly wise. That means, in other words, they're stupid.
Want to ignore science and want to ignore mathematics and want to ignore physics and somehow cannot bring themselves to do what we need to do. And when you stop and think about it, it's pretty extraordinary.
Listen, this is unbelievable.
That we, select group of human beings, because of whatever touched us at some point in our lives, are able to sit in a room and come together and actually talk about saving the planet. I mean, it's so almost extraterrestrial to think about.
Did John Kerry just out himself? Did John Kerry just say that he's an alien? Did he just expose that everybody in that room are lizard people? What some of the conspiracy people would say. He said, how remarkable it is that people like us could sit in a room, people like us who've just been touched, that's been given an opportunity to sit in the room and talk about how to change the world.
Quote, saving the planet. And if you said that to most people, they think you're just a crazy tree-hugging, lefty, liberal, do-gooder, whatever.
We would never.
And there's no relationship. But really,
John Kerry, no one on this channel would ever think of you as a liberal tree-hugging alien. You're John Kerry. You married into the Heinz fortune. You've been touched. You get to tell us how to save the world. Thank you, John Kerry. Thank you, John Kerry. Oh, my Lord. I got to watch myself. Okay. Now, here's another one. Here's another one, y'all. This was a discussion about the future cities. Remember we talked about the 15-minute cities? Well, that's just one of the things they got planned for you. Notice behind, World Economic Forum, committed to improving the state of the world. This particular session was called something like The Future of Our Cities. This gentleman that you're going to hear, I'm going to play just a few seconds of his, then I'm going to show you a better quality video of what he's talking about. This is not coming. This is already under construction. I'm going to prove it to you in just a minute. I'm almost through. The program's almost over, but I'm going to close with the last thing I'm going to show you is just going to blow your mind. But watch this. I want to show you that this is a project in Saudi Arabia called the NEOM Project. And one of the things that's part of the NEOM Project in Saudi Arabia, the wealthy people of the Crown Prince and so forth, is they're building a city called the Line City. Watch this.
The principle of the line, which is really the revolution in urban design that NEOM is pioneering. And we can talk a little bit more about that as we go through the rest of the panel in the session.
Now, notice how they're in the illustration, they're showing you how they are going to build a city that would take all these buildings that would house that many people and put them in this small of an area. This is
so
very.
When I'm looking at this, it's a grid infrastructure.
Yeah, so basically the way it works is it's 170 kilometers long, 200 meters wide, 500 meters high. Wow. The height is from the sea level. So as you go inwards in the topography.
Now I'm going to stop it because I want to show you a better version of this. This is actually, this is not coming, and I'm going to show you it's under construction right now. This is not coming. This is in the process of, and by the way, he said the first section of that wall is going to open in I believe he said in about 4 years, I think. All right, what's
January of 2021, Saudi Arabia announced plans for its own futuristic city called The Line. Instead of communities sprawling outward from a central location, they would be built vertically and arranged, well, in a line, hence the name. Even though the vision for the city stretches 170 kilometers, it would do away with cars entirely and instead be connected by high-speed rail.
Do away with cars entirely and have a high-speed rail that will travel from one end to the other in 20 minutes.
That would travel the entire length in just 20 minutes. And each individual community would be largely self-contained so that almost anything you could need, be it a school, a doctor, or a quick meal, would...
This is not make-believe, y'all. This is not a movie. I know it's hard to believe that this is the world we live in, but I'm going to show you that this is under construction.
Be only a 5-minute walk away. The government says the line will run on 100% clean energy and make extensive use of sensors and AI to manage the city's services. And all of this is supposed to be nestled in the pristine natural landscape of the Tabuk province with minimal impact on the environment.
Now watch this part.
Now the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has revealed grandiose renders of what the city will look like to match the grandiose plans. The line is envisioned as a giant glass and mirrored wall, 170 kilometers long, 200 meters wide, and 500 meters tall.
Now, in perspective, they're going to show you how tall this city is in perspective. Watch this.
That's taller than the Empire State Building. It would have greenery stretching along the top.
Taller than the Empire State Building.
An open-air ventilation system to help maintain an ideal climate year-round, and it would house up to 9 million people.
9 million people.
Now, the line...
Now, what I want to show you, and then I'm going to have some closing remarks here, is because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, these are just like when you when you go to a car show and you see the concept cars that never come into fruition, especially in our lifetime. They're so futuristic. Yeah, that's a great concept, but that's not really going to happen. Okay, I'm going to give you a homework assignment, but I'm going to help you. I'm going to show you, and then I want you to double check me. Go to Google Maps when we get off this program in just a few minutes and just search for the Line City, Saudi Arabia. And this is what you'll find. This is this is not a screenshot. This is not from somebody's website. This is my browser, Google Maps. You can't see it. I'm going to show it to you right now. Google Maps, here it is. You can't see the address line at the top. It's google.com/maps, place/the Line City. This is the desert of Saudi Arabia. If I zoom out, you'll see the ocean. You'll see it's all in Aramaic. And if I go over this way, let's see if I can go over this way. Yeah, if I go over this way, you'll see the royal cities. And if I zoom in, ladies and gentlemen, you will see it already has a tag, already has an address line. I don't know if you can make that out. It says the Line City. And you can see on Google Maps, the entire line has already been cut out. The foundation has already begun. Just like in the concept, the Line City is under construction in the middle of this desert. Mind-boggling. This is not some kind of concept. This is happening now. That is why I've been telling you Agenda 2030. Don't think in your mind these things that they have planned for 2030, there's no way they're going to get to them in 2030. They are going at breakneck speed. That is 7 years from now. They plan on putting the equivalent of New York City in one section of this wall city. Unbelievable. They're going, everything. The 15-minute cities are being test marketed in the UK. This is a 5-minute section. Each section, each pod has everything you need within walking distance of 5 minutes. What's this? You say, well, that sounds pretty awesome to me. Oh, what? It sounds sort of like a utopia. Are you kidding me? Everything will be tracked. Social credit system. You have nowhere to go. There is no car. There is no airport. There's no way to escape. It's a prison. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a prison. This is not what you're being sold. This is not a luxurious city. This is the World Economic Forum. This is the United Nations. This is all of the powerful elite. Do you think John Kerry is going to live in that wall? Do you think Bill Gates is going to live in that wall? Come on. They're not going to live in that wall. They're going to live in a luxurious bunker somewhere or in some mansion, and now they own an entire state as their front yard. They're not going to live in that wall. Who's going to live in that wall? The poor. Who's going to live in that wall? The regular people are going to live in that wall. The wall, the Line City. I call it the Wall City. Well, you say, well, bless God, I'll tell you right now, I'm an American. In America, we won't never go for that. Well, let me just tell you, I'm going to show you one little video clip and I'm going to close this program. This is the foreign minister of Slovenia. In one of the closing sessions, after all that was said, I want you to watch the brassness of this woman. She demands that nations, not Slovenia, her nation, but that the nations of the world respect the rules of the world order. The New World Order, you know that conspiracy theory that's just a bunch of tinfoil hat people that made that up? Well, listen, by the way, they're batting a pretty good average right now, conspiracy theorists are. Foreign Minister Slovenia Tanja Fajon signals her submission to the globalist agenda and declaration or demand that sovereign nations must respect the international rules of the world order. She goes on to say, well, let's just listen to her, and then we'll have our closing remarks. Come on, play. Let's go.
We have to take care of the rules of the international law and really respect that and not change it.
Take care of the international rules. She's speaking to nations. This is a final address to the nations, to the prime ministers and the presidents that are in that room.
In a time when there are countries that choose the way not to respect them.
Wonder who she's talking about. When there are countries who choose not to respect the world global laws.
And Russia chose that way. So we have countries that are respecting the rules, and we have countries that are respecting their national interests going beyond the rules.
Let me tell you something, lady. Let me tell you something, the rest of the world. You don't get to tell another nation. You don't have the right to tell another nation that they need to respect the laws of the World Economic Forum, an unelected, non-sovereign government that decided somewhere along the way, empowered themselves to be the voice of the narrative of the world? I'm sorry, lady. No. But you know what? She ain't having it.
And that is what is happening, and we have to take into consideration the world order.
We have to take in consideration the world order. That, ladies and gentlemen, sums up the World Economic Forum. That is what happened in Davos, Switzerland. There is an agenda. There is more than an Agenda 2030. There is a massive global agenda. 2030 is just a number for the first major phase that's about to come, that came out of this global thing that we just went through for the last almost 3 years at the time of this live recording, and we all know what that was. You're beginning to see the repercussions of the things and the treatments and all of this that we were sold that is happening. But that, you heard it, and this is just a snip. Do you understand? If you go to the World WEF Forum, weforum.org, and go look at and click on look at all the things that they have. I tried to count it. I lost count, like 150 to 200 different sessions. All of them are there for you to see. You could just literally go down that rabbit hole and watch them, and they all have one common theme. We've got to use tragedy and we've got to use crisis to grab as much authority from people as we possibly can. And they're all talking about the next one that's coming, the next global, you know what, that's coming, the next war that's coming. How are we going to handle it's all about the climate. The climate is the religion. The climate is the religion. It is the religion of the godless. Don't you remember what God's word said in the book of Romans? Paul said the last generation, he began to describe sexual perversion, different kinds of things. And then he says something profound. He says that generation will be known as the generation that worships the creation more than the creator. Worships the creation more than the creator, to where they talk more about the creation than they do the creator. When you can't wear a shirt that says Jesus saves and that he's the only way, when you can't just simply say, look, I'm not telling you to live your life any certain way. I just want to live my life according to what my religious beliefs are. And I don't want to wear a jersey that if my kids are in the stands and they saw me wearing it, or somebody saw me on TV, saw me wearing it, that it would almost look like that I was condoning a lifestyle that my religious belief says I can't condone. I'm not judging you. I'm not telling you got to be like me. I just don't want to wear a jersey. But they can get on television and just destroy you and say that the organization should be fined $1 million and he should be permanently banned from ever playing hockey again because you don't want to wear a jersey that has rainbow on it. By the way, the rainbow belongs to God. It was a sign from God. It's a sign in the heavens from God. When are we going to wake up? That's why God told me to do this. That's why God told me to get on this channel and do what I do. Because somebody's got to cry aloud and spare not. The world is worshiping the creation more than the creator. Somebody's got to tell them Jesus is the only way. I'm sorry. I'm going to walk. If I want to wear a Jesus shirt in the mall, some mall cop ain't going to bow up on me and tell me to change. You know what they said? The rest of that video, they said, look, man, just go in Macy's, buy another shirt and change your shirt, and then you can go shopping. He's like, I am not saying anything. I just want to walk around with my family with my shirt of my religious beliefs that I believe in. And he said, I'm just saying I love Jesus. And the mall cop said, yeah, but Jesus is associated with religion that condemns people. And people are offended. Well, people are going to be offended. God has shown me years ago, I began to tell our church, the one spirit, the most powerful spirit that could ever come on you, that could cause you to walk away from the church, that could cause you to walk away from sanity and truth, is offense. It is the door that opens up everything to the enemy. When you are offended, we are the most sensitive generation. Now watch this. I offend people all the time, not on purpose. I'm just saying the people that don't believe what I believe, just the fact that I believe it offends them. But I can't get offended. The Christians are the only ones in the world that don't have the permission to be offended. Well, I'm offended when you curse my God. I'm offended when you take my God's name in vain. I'm offended when you portray my Jesus in a Netflix show that he's in a love affair with the rest of his disciples. I'm offended when you mock Christianity left and right, and you can't mock any other religion. When are we going to stand up? When are we going to say to these elites, not in my house, like Joshua, choose you this day whom will you serve? My God, in my house, we are going to serve the Lord. Is there anybody watching the big picture? You may have just come for news, but you're hearing the gospel right now because that's what you're going to get when you watch this channel. The only thing that can stop this, well, I don't know if we can stop it, but the only thing that can protect you and that you can come through this and God can have his hand on your family is you're going to have to stand up for Jesus Christ. You're going to have to be a voice. That's why we call it the big picture. Because if all you ever see is right in front of you and you don't see the big picture, you don't know what's really going on around you. But I have a mandate from God to get on here and show you to the best of my ability what is really going on in this earth. You will not see this on CNN. You will not see this on Fox News. You will not see this on any of them. But you will see it here every Monday night at 7 o'clock. And you'll hear the Bible taught every Sunday night at 8 o'clock Central. Praise God. I appreciate everybody that's been a part of this program. Don't forget to watch the interview with Mark Carell. And don't forget to come back every Monday night to be a part. And don't forget to go to Rumble if you hadn't already been on Rumble. We appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I'm telling you right now, I'm stirred up right now. I could talk on this TV, on this screen for another hour if permitted, but I want to respect your time. I appreciate you for subscribing, for hitting that like button, and for sharing and commenting down below. That's one of the biggest things that you can do. Comment down below, not just in the live chat, and share this and invite other people to go back and watch the replay. We'll see you next time on The Big Picture where we remind you without a doubt, if you ain't figured it out by now, I don't know what's wrong with you. I ain't woke, but I certainly am awake. I'll see you next time, 7 o'clock on Monday night for Big Picture Live. God bless.